Once again, it's a privilege to be welcome into your homes. Today, we are reading from Luke chapter 10, verse 25 to 37. There was a scholar of the law who stood up to test Jesus and said, "Teacher, what must I do to inherit eternal life?" Jesus said to him, "What is written in the law? How do you read it?" He said in reply, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your being, with all your strength, and with all your mind, and your neighbor as yourself." He replied to him, "You have answered correctly. Do this, and you will live." But because he wished to justify himself, he said to Jesus, "And who is my neighbor?" Jesus replied, "A man fell victim to robbers as he went down from Jerusalem to Jericho. They stripped and beat him and went off, leaving him half dead. A priest happened to be going down that road, but when he saw him, he passed by on the opposite side. Likewise, a Levite came to the place, and when he saw him, he passed by on the opposite side. But a Samaritan traveler who came upon him was moved with compassion at the sight. He approached the victim, poured oil and wine over his wounds, and bandaged them. Then he lifted him up on his own animal, took him to an inn, and cared for him. The next day he took out 2 silver coins and gave them to the innkeeper with the instruction, "Take care of him. If you spend more than what I have given you, I shall repay you on my way back." Which of these 3, in your opinion, was neighbor to the robber's victim? He answered, "The one who treated him with mercy." Jesus said to him, "Go and do likewise." The lawyer asked 2 questions. The second question is, who is my neighbor? The parable of the Good Samaritan is Jesus' answer to that question. However, the parable in reality does not answer the question, who is my neighbor? It answers a different question. What does it mean to be a neighbor? That was the question Jesus himself asked at the end of the parable. Which of these 3 proved himself a neighbor? Jesus implies that it is more important to be a neighbor than to ask, "Who is my neighbor?" The real neighbor does not draw a distinction between those who are neighbors and those who are not. The real neighbor treats everyone in need as a neighbor, regardless of who they are, just as the Samaritan treated the broken traveler, who was presumably a Jew, as his neighbor. Dear friends, the lawyer was anxious to draw distinctions. Who is my neighbor and who is not? Jesus, like the Samaritan, did not draw distinctions. He gave himself equally to all, whether they were Jews, Samaritans, or pagans. He calls on his followers to do the same. We are to give expression to God's compassionate presence to everyone without discrimination. Shalom. Peace.